Welcome to the Town Board meeting, Thursday, March 3rd. Please rise and salute the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Emergency exits are to my right behind the town clerk and also the door you came in. Roll, please.
Supervisor Perotti?
Here.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Here.
Blackman?
Here.
Rebellard?
Here.
And let the record reflect that Councilman Gutierrez will be absent this evening.
At this time, we are going to have a presentation from AKRF on affordable housing. You're on. that was your cue. Microphone.
Real quick.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Charlie Miller. I'm the chairman of the Amenia Housing Board. I just wanted to give a little context before Ashley from AKRF comes up to give her presentation. I'm sure we all know that there is a lack of rental and for-purchase housing inventory in Amenia. I think most of our friends will talk about this. We see this on social media all the time. Amenia has a long history of trying to solve this problem. For at least the last 20 years, there's either been a housing board, such as I am on now, or some kind of housing committee. So it's been talked about forever. In 2008, the town board actually adopted a town code, the Workforce Housing Code, to try to address this issue. I can say in the last 14 years, there have been 60 luxury housing units that have been developed. C of Os have been issued for more of those, and there's at least another 200 that are currently in development. So although we have this workforce housing code to address our need for workforce housing, it hasn't quite lived up to that. So last year, the town board engaged a planner to review our workforce housing and to see where we could do some edits that might possibly get us closer to providing for the housing, which that's what you'll hear tonight. I will say, out of all the suggestions and recommendations she has made, the housing board has reviewed them all, and we, for the most part, concur with most of those recommendations. There is one that I think is very important that the board should discuss, maybe not tonight, but shortly, is the fee in lieu of formula that is currently being used. The current formula was developed in 2014 and has not been reviewed since. The Workforce Housing Code allows for that to be reviewed by the town board every year and to be changed. So it is something that feels like should be done and done expeditiously. So with that, this is Ashley from AKRF.
We have dual screens going. So hi, I'm Ashley Lai from... Bring your mic, yeah. Is this better? I'm shorter, so I've got to have it a little lower here. I'm Ashley Lai. I'm a vice president at AKRF, and as Charlie mentioned, back in October, we went through the Amenia zoning code and the comprehensive plan and came up with a few strategies. So next slide, please. So overall, we had three main objectives when we were going through the documents. The first objective was to see how we could preserve and encourage more affordable housing units within the town. The second objective was to promote the construction of moderate income housing units within the town. And the third objective was to see where we could clarify the approvals and administrative process within the workforce housing law. Next slide. Oh. So as I mentioned, we really focused on the zoning and subdivision ordinances. We specifically focused on the workforce housing provisions, the accessory dwelling units, the responsibilities of the housing board, as well as the comprehensive plan. Within the workforce housing recommendations, we came up with 5 main recommendations. The first being to streamline the approvals and screening process for potential workforce housing residents. And what that means is, one of the things we noticed is that the authority to review individual applicants that were going into these units was given to the housing board, which could be a rather cumbersome process. And oftentimes, when a project is going through the approvals process, the developer will designate a not-for-profit entity that would be the one that would be responsible for managing that, and that entity could be vetted by the housing board during the process, as opposed to having the housing board be the one to review applications. And there could be an annual report that's reported back to the housing board to make sure that the new development is staying in compliance with the law. The second recommendation is to rely on the New York State Building Code for unit floor area minimums. Currently, within your code, you have unit minimums of 400 square feet for a studio, 500 square feet for a one-bedroom, 700 square feet for a two-bedroom, 1,000 square feet for a three-bedroom, and 1,200 square feet for a four-bedroom or larger. If you were to either eliminate the minimums or rely on the New York State Building Code, there would be the potential to be able to fit a few more dwelling units here or there. And it would give a little bit more flexibility while making sure that you are still providing for adequate light, air, and safety, because you'd be relying on the New York State Building Code as opposed to a set number within your zoning code. The third recommendation would be to remove the minimum income requirement. Now, this is within the workforce housing recommendations, but if there was a desire to increase deeply affordable units within the town, then you would need to reduce or lower your minimum income requirement. Number 4 was to consider removing the preference list. So currently you have a preference list for who gets priority to get into these units once they're constructed. A lot of communities have these, but the direction that I think the state is headed is to remove these lists because they can be seen as discriminatory. So potentially down the road, you could run into issues if you were going for grant funding. It could be something that could hinder the development of affordable housing in the future. And then the fifth recommendation is to update section 121-42, and that's simply just a cleanup item because it's referring to an administrative program that was already established when you established the housing board. And as was mentioned, one of the things that is important to update is the formula for the fee in lieu of housing. This table here provides some other examples of what other communities are using for their fees. Now, granted, these are all cities, so their property values are going to be higher than Amenia, but those were the ones that were readily available. Most of the other small towns that I looked into in the area didn't necessarily have a fee in lieu of program. But one that I can point you to on this slide is the city of White Plains. They based their fee in lieu of on 1.25 times AMI for a 4-person household. If you were to apply that same formula to Dutchess County, it would be approximately $125,000 a unit for a 4-bedroom household. And currently, you would be getting $25,000 for that unit. So, I think we would need to dig into these numbers a little bit more to make sure that they make sense for a more rural location. But there's clearly a range here, and the range is substantially higher than what Amenia is charging right now. We also looked at the other incentives that could be put in for the provision of affordable housing. And these are incentives that the town could take on, so considering a donation or long-term lease of town-owned land, the waiver of fees such as recreation fees, building permit fees, the streamlining of the approvals and permitting process, as well as reducing parking requirements. Parking is something that is very expensive to provide, especially if it's structured parking. I understand that Amenia is a very car-dependent community, but you do have some good infrastructure with your rail trail, your access to the train station. So if there was some way to allow for some reduction in parking requirements where you're close to those transit areas, that would be a way to potentially reduce the cost of a development. Another section of the code that we looked at was accessory dwelling units, and we came up with 3 recommendations there. One is to consider permitting it as of right in all zoning districts. Right now, it's a special permit use in 2 of your zoning districts, and this would just make it a little easier for someone to convert a unit or, add an accessory dwelling unit. Again, relying on the New York State Building Code for your minimum unit size instead of having a set number within your code. Currently, it's 500 square feet, so potentially you could get some additional units if you reduced it down to, let's say, 300 square feet, or you relied just on the New York State Building Code. And then the third is to consider removing the minimum lot size requirement, provided that the lot has adequate septic and well capacity. Currently, you have to have at least the minimum lot size for the zoning district. So if you had a house that was on an undersized lot, but they had a detached garage or another space that was good to convert to an accessory apartment, they wouldn't be allowed to do that. So, as long as they have adequate septic and well, if you were to change the code to allow it on an undersized lot or a pre-existing non-conforming lot, that could potentially increase your accessory dwelling units within the community. And lastly, we looked at the multifamily zoning. And here we had 3 recommendations. The first was to consider allowing increased density for a project that provides affordable housing and installs its own communal water supply and wastewater treatment system. I understand that there is no communal sewer within the downtown, so this could be an incentive. The second is to add new density bonuses for the provision of affordable housing, so not just within your downtown, but potentially elsewhere within your community. And lastly is to consider modifying the conversion requirement so new multifamily or townhome type units could be provided on the same lot as converted units. And what that means is you currently have a provision in your code to convert an existing building into multiple units, but if there was additional space on that property where you could accommodate a new building, to modify those provisions so you could potentially do that instead of just the conversion. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Anyone have any questions?
I have a question. I know that you said much of this is a matter of kind of rewriting the text of the code. I mean, that most of it is not, unless we're inventing something new, that most of it is fairly straightforward in terms of the changes that need to be made. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I think for the most part, the items that I went over just now are fairly straightforward text amendments. So it wouldn't be restructuring your full code, it would be tweaking things here or there. So that would require preparing a zoning text amendment. That would need to have seeker done on it, you would need to have a public hearing. But I don't think it would be a particularly lengthy process. If you wanted to do something that was a little bigger, like if you wanted to create a new floating zone to add density and some of those other recommendations, those are the larger items that would require more analysis and take a little longer.
Okay.
I have a question. With the new updates in the housing, regs from 2019, with tenant regulations of July.
Excuse me, Brad, you want to pull your microphone closer to
I apologize. I don't speak loudly to begin with, so. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that have come down from Albany on housing. And some of the committees I've been on in the past, one of their plans was affordable housing has to blossom out from the center of a town because they had such things as transportation, walking, and all these things. So I think historically, in a lot of these small towns, that was not looked on favorably in the zoning codes. So I guess I'm thinking...
I'm sorry, Brad, what wasn't looked on favorably?
About expanding outward from the center of a community.
Okay.
And going into, let's say, a mile out of town, 2 miles out of town, et cetera.
Right. Okay.
And especially when it goes to, building new structures. I don't know that we have much in favor of townhouses or condominiums or anything like that. But, so the construction of new sites, I think, and there's plenty of land for that, would or should include that. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think generally, if you're going to have a more concentrated development, to the extent that you can make it a walkable community and that it's walkable to your downtown, that's certainly a preferred method of planning. You want to reduce your car dependency because not only for the environmental reasons and the traffic reasons, but it also lowers your cost of living. So if focusing on some areas that maybe are just on the outskirts of town that maybe could accommodate sewer, like a package plant, that's a potential for the town to look into.
Thank you.
One of the other things, Brett, just because I was on the housing board, is that the comprehensive plan is very specific about that, about wanting to do just what you said about, making the bulk of the development in the center of town to provide, more people to go into the stores and sort of more support restaurants and make things more lively. So the comprehensive plan agrees with you on that.
If you were to consider, if we were trying to be most expeditious given the constraints in our downtown walkable areas, where would you really point us for getting some immediate improvements to affordable housing incentives? It occurs to me that like the ADUs would be something that keeps coming up and something that historically has worked really well in Amenia, that taking these big Victorians, they were already caught up into apartments and they provide some reasonable affordable housing and keeps the historic fabric of the downtown. So if we did as you suggested by making ADUs as of right, what's the downside? I don't see the downside, but maybe there's something that I don't understand about just allowing ADUs wherever they can be tucked in. Like you said, if you already have a septic and you have a garage, detached or otherwise, or some other available space you're not using and can make it more affordable for yourself as a homeowner and offer living space that meets the requirements, I don't see why ADUs wouldn't be offered everywhere you could tuck them.
Yeah, I think sometimes what you'll hear from people who are opposed to ADUs is that it's a community character concern or that it creates additional parking needs or traffic. But generally, I think it is the low-hanging fruit of affordable housing, and it does allow you to keep the fabric of your community. And if you're able to accommodate it with your existing, wastewater and well capacity on the site, you're able to, through an administrative process, make sure that they have adequate parking, that, potentially that the parking can be in the back of the building so you don't see that there's, extra cars parked in front of the house. I think there's ways of addressing it administratively that can help facilitate more units.
We happen to have our building code person here, and if he has some thoughts about that, I wouldn't mind hearing his point of view, given we have this, quite a few ADUs. I think all of us know people who have had housing in these informal situations.
The only issue I can see by adding more rooms, the health department would, right now the septics are old for a lot of them. And the health department always has based the septic size on bedroom count. So when you start adding more bedrooms, you're going to have to upgrade the whole septic system to handle the added bedroom count and the amount of wastewater. So at that point, we don't have sewer, so it's going to depend on the lot size, whether you have room to expand your fields and all for your septic as well.
Wow.
So that's all stuff what needs to be looked at when you start adding more bedroom count.
Which is something you're already doing.
Yeah, we do that all the time, whenever we try to add, whenever anyone comes to add a bedroom, it's automatically, the health department has to review it, and they have to have an engineer come say whether septic is adequate enough to handle the load. Because bedroom, or septics are not based on bathrooms, it's based on bedrooms, for how many people they're planning to sleep in the units or be in the house, so.
But let's, so we already know, whatever our code says, the last say is whether or not the Department of Health is going to meet
Right.
those standards.
Because
So
most old
so there's-
Victorians don't have a lot of bedroom count in them for what we're going to be talking about adding, so,
Okay. Thank you.
yep.
So the other thought that I had was the removing the lot size requirements, some pros and cons on that, because I have heard anecdotally, the more you kind of squish people in together, the more potential you have for, cars everywhere and lights shining into people's bedrooms, and it becomes harder to maintain that rural feel that we have. So can you say some of that to a rural town that might be considering removing the lot size requirement?
Yeah, I mean, I actually think the biggest issue with removing the lot size requirement is just making sure that there's adequate septic, because when you get a smaller lot, then you run out of room for an expansion field.
So that holds that.
So that
At bay.
is going to limit it
Yeah.
to some extent. You might only be able to get a one-bedroom apartment potentially. It's really going to come down to the health department. That being said, I think there are ways of addressing how you set up your parking. You could have some performance standards within the ADU law of where the parking can be. You could also have just a general lighting law within. I haven't looked at your lighting code, but many communities have adopted lighting codes that regulate the use of full cutoff fixtures, the temperature of an LED light, not just for accessory apartments, but for all residential units, because light pollution can be a nuisance.
Okay.
Does anyone else have any other questions? Thank you very much. That's been very informative, and we'll certainly take all your recommendations under advisement.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Next on the agenda is a presentation by the Housatonic Valley Association Climate Smart Resiliency Planning.
Hi, I thought it'd be helpful just to give you guys a little context for this as
Could you
well.
introduce yourself?
I will, thank you, Victoria. My name is Michael Peak. I'm the chair of the Conservation Advisory Council here in the town of Amenia. One of the first things we did after the town of Amenia decided to pursue climate smart community certification was to pursue a couple of grant-based initiatives that we would complete in partnership with the Housatonic Valley Association. Their presentation tonight represents the culmination of work they've been doing over the past couple of years, despite numerous challenges. They've got now a road stream crossing management plan and a climate resiliency planning tool for us. So in addition to receiving points towards climate smart certification, which of course is important, we hope these products of their work will also be useful resources to the town to secure additional grants and to plan for the future. So thank you to Mike Jastrzemski and to Amanda Cavanias for their hard work, for their patience, and for their perseverance. And with that, I'll hand it off to Amanda.
Thank you.
You can pull it forward.
Pull it forward.
Yeah, get it really close.
There you go.
Is that good? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Michael. So as Michael said, I am Amanda Cavanias with the Housatonic Valley Association. I'm just here tonight to provide a project update on the Climate Smart Resiliency Planning Tool and the Road Stream Crossing Management Plan that we produced. Just going to keep this pretty brief. So again, just talking about that planning tool, the road stream crossing assessment, and the next steps that will help you get certification in climate smart resiliency. So in case, I'm sure most of you know, but in case you don't, the Climate Smart Communities program was established in 2009 to provide local governments with guidance on how to prepare their communities for the impacts of a changing climate. The town of Amenia took the pledge in 2018, and in 2019, the town hired the Housatonic Valley Association, HVA, to complete 2 actions under Pledge Element 7. Ooh, yes.
You can pull it forward a little more.
Yeah,
Thank you. I was drifting away from it.
Okay, there you go.
So the 2 actions under Pledge Element 7 were the vulnerability assessment of the town's road stream crossings, so culverts and bridges, and an evaluation of existing plans, regulations, and policies to identify opportunities for building climate resilience. So that first one, the Climate Smart Resiliency Planning Tool, helps, so as climate change related hazards such as extreme temperatures, drought, severe storms, flooding are on the rise, this tool is a questionnaire that was put together to allow local governments to examine their community's vulnerabilities and identify opportunities for resiliency building. For this action, we go through the town's existing plans, ordinances, et cetera, to identify risks and vulnerabilities that exist. And so for this, we use 2 main documents, the Dutchess County Multi-Hazard Mitigation Plan, as well as the town's Emergency Response Plan. Additionally, we reviewed zoning codes and ordinances to help identify those existing gaps. This is all to help the town incorporate climate change preparedness into plans, codes, policies, and projects that will ensure the town is more prepared for climate-related disasters in the future. So this questionnaire is completed and all that information is compiled into a summary report that we provide the town that presents all of the opportunities for growth and building that climate resilience. And I'm happy to say that the town of Amenia has some pretty robust planning. The main gap that we identified was in public outreach. So despite all of the planning and all the existing codes, the way the information is getting to the community members doesn't seem to be very efficient. So we suggest that the town explore different methods of communicating that information to your town. So social media, posting information in libraries, community centers. That information can include evacuation plans, storm shelters, where to get dry ice, et cetera, et cetera. So, our next project was the road stream crossing management planning, which goes through an assessment of all culverts and bridges in the town and puts that together into a management plan that can be used to help fund replacement of problem culverts and bridges. So that process involves comprehensive field assessments. So we go out to every single culvert or bridge in the town and start with the NAC protocol. NAC is the North Atlantic Aquatic Connectivity Collaborative, and that is designed primarily to identify barriers to aquatic organism passage. So migrating fish and aquatic insects. We run through their protocol, which is a series of measurements of the structure, and then we also do a quick survey of the stream channel above and below the inlet and outlet. Once that data is collected, we also send that data to Yukon for a flood risk analysis. They run it through hydraulic capacity modeling, which predicts failure, which is water overtopping the road at the 2, 10, 25, 50, 100, and 200-year recurrence interval. Flows for this analysis are generated through their coupled routing and excess storage hydraulic model. And then all of this information goes into a road stream crossing inventory. This inventory was initially completed and presented to the town at the end of 2019. Altogether, there are 83 miles of streams and rivers in the town of Amenia, 143 miles of roads and other transportation corridors, and 150 road stream crossings. This inventory is used to prioritize which structures need to be replaced in the near future to build resilience and reduce flood risk. Once we prioritize everything and present the inventory to the town, then we put that together into a draft management plan. That management plan has the data collected for each of the 150 road stream crossings, as well as our prioritization tables that we kind of grade each structure given a rubric based on flood risk, based on community knowledge, and conservation value. So here we have the top 6 structures in the town that were rated highest for flood risk. You can see that the one that has the lowest flood interval means that that's the most concern. This is a 5-year flood interval, so this could really overtop at any time. The other ones are a bit harder, but as we have observed, those flood frequencies are increasing. So this next chart is our conservation priorities, which tend to be of less concern, but this is where that aquatic organism passage comes in. So those are typically structures that have an outfall that has a drop that an organism can't get over when it's trying to move upstream. We take both of those, combine them into one along with town knowledge, and make our top ranked stream crossings. And then that is used to support any pursuing of any grant opportunities. And that's really the main priority of this plan, is to help the town get funding to replace these structures in the future. So our final steps here, we would like to suggest that the plan be officially adopted by the town. That can be as a standalone document or added to a multi-hazard mitigation plan. And then adopt the plan and the Climate Smart Resiliency Summary Report, and then both of these, as Michael said earlier, can be used for points toward Climate Smart certification. And that's what I have for you.
Points and money, you know.
Yes, yes. Any questions?
Could you send the plans to our town attorney
Yes.
so we can look into the actual adoption?
Absolutely, yeah. So the town, there should be a hard copy of the plan in this building somewhere, and I'll make sure you get the digital copy as well.
I'm sorry, in terms of the last chart you showed, is that in order of which crossings are most important to replace?
Yes.
It's just that you fold in the conservation information to the information about flooding.
Right,
Okay.
yeah. So you can see that top one is still the Tower Hill Road, where that has the greatest chance for flooding there.
And is there a cutoff point at which you think it's less of an issue? I mean, in terms of that list, obviously one would prioritize those, but in terms of a total number that need to be addressed fairly soon, do you have a sense of that?
I would, if you're looking for kind of the most pressing, then I would refer to just the crossings that are rated highest for flood risk.
Okay.
We already finished a hazardous mitigation grant for Tower Hill
Okay.
for part of it. That was the first one we applied for.
Excellent.
Great.
Love to hear it.
I would say, too, also that basically this report would work hand in hand with the institutional knowledge that we have as a town. I mean, the folks who are out there, the highway department, the firemen who are dealing with issues and working on this stuff, they'll know where there are issues. The town as Victoria knows where there are issues. And I think the idea here is that all this work provides actual data analysis to support us going out and getting money to fix those problems. So it could be seen as a guidance document, but also as a supporting document.
And I'll add to that just that this is a living document. You know, these structures were assessed in 2019, but conditions are always changing, and if there are folks on the ground who are witnessing actual flooding and other debris jams and such, that kind of information can later be added into this just to make it more robust.
So some of the ideas was also to help with some recreational opportunities in Wassaic in particular. We noted some opportunities, and I didn't know if you wanted to speak to some of the ideas that have been promoted by the CAC. And
Yeah, so that I was saving for another evening, but we,
sorry.
No, it's great that you bring it up. So the HBA, we've kind of pulled together a group of municipal officials, state agency representatives, conservation organizations to form the 10 Mile River Collaborative. And together we put together the 10 Mile River Watershed Management Plan, which identifies conservation projects, flood risk management projects for the entire 10 Mile River watershed. Which includes you all. So that plan has several really exciting projects built into it. We're working on finalizing that plan and then bringing it around for municipal adoption. But that does include some site-specific projects that we looked at in Wassaic. There are, as far as flood risk goes, at Wassaic Park, there's a retaining wall that has a pretty hard lean to it. If you've been down there, I'm sure you've seen it. That's something that we're looking at that could be built into park improvements over there. So if we were to stabilize that bank and fix that retaining wall, then we can work on those other park accessibility issues there, and hopefully bring more river access to the residents of Wassaic.
Great.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any other questions? Can you shut the door? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is great.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank
Very
you, Amanda.
informative. And thank you for all the work you've done. Done a lot of work.
Do we have that map and big notebook in your office? Did we give you that hard copy, or is it, I know we had one at the highway? Okay.
So let me.
Can you take a look for that?
Yeah.
Is that the inventory or the plan?
The plan and the, yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you have a
If it's missing, you can bring it.
No, we do.
No, it's not
We had
missing.
2 copies, so
Yeah,
we,
no.
But it would be good, you know,
That
that
is
everyone
right.
had the digital, so you
Yeah,
could
that would
look
be
at it.
helpful.
Yeah, if there's a list of people, I can send that to you. I'll make sure it gets everyone.
okay. The town board then, and Ian? Okay, I'll send her those emails.
Okay, is there any public comment? There's no supervisor's report, town clerk report.
Okay. So good evening. We have been busy in the town clerk's office for sure. When I report to you of the 2014 parcels that we have here in town and the 1,988 that are taxable, we have 1,695 parcels that have paid their taxes in full. For the new board members, I like to share this at the beginning of the year so you understand what the responsibilities are of your town tax collector. I'm collecting this year a total sum of $7,135,984.18, of which the breakdown is $3,496,431.23, which has actually already been remitted to the town. And then the remaining $3,639,552.95 is where I'm collecting. So,
I'm sorry, could you explain that, Dawn Marie?
Sure,
You're
absolutely.
talking about money that comes from like the state or something as part
that
of
comes in from your tax bills.
Everybody's taxes.
Right, but
all
I'm
of your
sorry,
taxes.
what are the two different pieces?
Yeah, and I'm going to keep
Okay,
going.
good,
So
good,
of
thank
the
you.
7.1 that I'm collecting,
Right.
3.496 comes to the town.
Oh, I see.
And the remaining 3.639 I collect for the county. I don't just
Okay.
collect for the
Okay.
town. So specifically as the breakdown, when I say to you that I've already collected the 3.4, the way that it's been broken down and has been remitted to the supervisor is as follows. General, and all of these special districts and funds have been paid and satisfied in full. General fund, $1,077,200. Highway, $813,044. Special districts as follows, and this is all part of your budget. So if you were to look at your budget, you would see these exact same numbers. The Amenia Library, $175,000. Amenia Fire, $892,355. Amenia Lighting, $18,500. Amenia Water, $39,120. Wasake Fire, $446,950. Wasake Lighting, $6,700. The re-levied miscellaneous, $10,664.74. Re-levied water, $16,896.31, for a total of the $3,496,430.05. So I bring that to the board's attention. I make sure it goes in the minutes because it makes our auditor really happy when she sees all these numbers and everything matches and flows. So that's why you guys get to hear these numbers, because the auditor takes my minutes and she compares it with my books. So not to bore the public when they don't get to see the numbers in writing, it's because it's my fiscal duty to report to you and then include it in the minutes.
Great.
So I bring that to your attention because the office has been crazy. So when you see everything going on, we've got a lot going on. And I just want to share with the residents, and I have a feeling those that are watching, I'm preaching to the choir, so it's probably moot, but should you be having coffee, tea, or a glass of wine with your neighbor and these conversations or questions come up, I bring a sample of a copy of a tax bill. And what's unique about this tax bill is every parcel here in the town has a tax bill. So those of you that are paying your taxes through your escrow, you don't get one of these in the mail. So you never see this until this weekend when they're going out in the mail, because all of those have been paid and you're getting your bill. And the only time you call me is when you need to file your taxes and you've lost this because I've mailed it to you a year in advance. So, but for all of us that are paying our taxes all by ourselves, because we've owned that house, and congratulations for that, this tax bill comes to you. This tax bill has all the information you need to contact me. The town hall is collecting the taxes between January 1 and February 28th without penalty between the hours of 9 and 2, Monday through Thursday. As I stated in the legal notice that was mailed in our Millerton paper, posted on the board, put in on our website, and read twice here at a meeting. Also, there's this really cool, amazing line midway down, just before the stub, and there's a point to this. Receiver stub must be returned with this payment, and include your phone number on your check for a receipt for your payment. Place a check mark in this box and return the entire bill with this payment. So I love to give this announcement, and I think it's great that all of our board members understand what these tax bills are. It's my sole responsibility to answer our taxpayers. When we leave messages, because we don't want to hit a button and you end up leaving it in a completely different department where the phone may not be monitored 24/7, my phone messages come to my watch. So I know when someone leaves me a message, there may be a delay in a response. I love that our town board members want to try to help our residents. So if you're going to do so, I want to make sure you know the job duties of myself, that it says on there, things that we have to do. We all make mistakes. Sometimes checks get returned for failure to complete how to write a check. The bank is very particular. I do my best to follow the suit and the laws that are set forth on how to properly process the payments, and I follow my auditor's rules. So do what you can to look at this really crazy, a lot of numbers and a lot of words on one little piece of paper. Follow the directions as stated on there, so that way you can ensure that your payment is processed on time according with the laws. It's the same for the school rules, so I get to give the same speech, you know, with Weebatuck, so I want to make sure the same speech follows through here. If you want to reach the tax collector, I do have a designated phone number, and that's extension 101. So you always hear me say 125. That's me, but 101 it's a dedicated line just for our tax questions. And Erica is in the office. She is here from 8:30 to 3:30, who can answer those questions as they come through. All of this information is available on our website, ameniany.gov. Select online payments. First box says pay online. Select that. You can go back to 2008 if you need copies of any of the bills.
I just want to bring up a point that sometimes, even with taxes that are paid out of escrow, that people will still get the tax bill.
Correct. You know why?
I do, but I thought you could explain it.
I totally will. So congratulations on that closing. Not always do our attorneys, yes, there's one sitting next to me, when the RPC gets filed and it's going out to the county, it does take time to transfer over those bank codes. So I would like to say congratulations in advance for those new property owners. But sometimes there's a delay in that information going to Dutchess County Commissioner of Finance and Real Property. By the time that RPC gets filed out at 22 Market Street, then they have to get the information here to our assessor's office. Our assessor's secretary, collector, she puts that information into the system. On or before July 1, we're going to go ahead and get that final report to us, and that's when I get it. Those bills, so anytime you buy a home after 7/1 through the entire next year, there's a 98% chance that that is not in there. So you are still legally responsible to pay your tax bill whether or not you have physically received the tax bill, because believe it or not, I'm not required to even mail out tax bills. It's your responsibility to obtain it. So that's where the delay is. So, you know, it could be in Dawn's name, and then say my husband, well, not my husband, my friend Chris decides to buy the house and there's been a transaction. What I always tell folks that get a tax bill that, because sometimes you have a second home, so you're getting it at XYZ address, but it's really regarding parcel that's here obtained in Amenia. A couple things you can do. You can be neighborly, because I'm pretty sure you were at that closing or your representative was at that closing and you know who the new purchaser is. You can send it to them. You can contact your attorney and say, I mistakenly got a bill, because why ever you want to think. You can call your real estate agent and say, I got this. Can we get this, forward this over to the new property owner? Or you can simply send it back to me. If you send it back to me, what happens is I then send it out to the property owner at XYZ Route 22, Amenia, New York. And I sometimes walk across the hall and I ask the secretary in there and I say, who are the new owners? So we do everything we can do to ensure that the new property owner gets their tax bill. But sometimes there's just that delay, so I don't always get the new information, and I literally am an entire year behind when there's transactions. It's just local government. Did I cover that good? Did I?
Well, I hope, yes, you did, and thank you.
We get a lot of those. So, I mean, we've had a lot of transactions this year, and there's been a lot of change, and there's a lot of new residents. I don't know that understand how taxes are. We have the way I like to give the friendly reminder to put it in your date books. You're beginning the new year. If you don't have your tax bill for me by Valentine's, because you love your home, reach out to me. School starts in the fall, Labor Day weekend, school starts. If you don't have your school bill by then, reach out to me. So those are the two important holidays when it comes to taxes in Dutchess County, New York State: Valentine's Day and Labor Day. Because you got to love your property, right? Love where you live. So if you love where you live, you got to pay those taxes. So that's my big tax speech for the night. For the month of February, even though taxes are still going on, in our office, we collected $492.50, the local share being remitted to the supervisor in the amount of $460, and the remaining balance being dispersed to New York State Ags and Market and New York State Department of Health. I also share with you, we received a resignation on February 22nd of this year from Stacy Mantle, who has resigned from her seat on the Housing Board. Would the board like to accept that this evening?
Make a motion that we accept with regret Stacy's resignation from the Housing Board.
I second that. Oh, sorry.
No,
did
go
you do
ahead.
that?
Oh.
And the
No.
regret.
You can take his.
Okay, Leo. Thank you. Supervisor Prodi?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes.
Revillard?
Yes.
And also in our packets, we're going to find that we have our code enforcement's report from Mike Segelkin. I'll read it, even though you're here. Well, somebody signs your name. For the month of February in the building department, the summary of the receipts are as follows. Title seal searches for residential is 1,200. Title seal searches for commercial is 1,000. Building permits were a total of 16, totaling $3,361 for a total building department income for February of 2022, $5,561. And it notes on the bottom that there were no violations issued during the month of February. And there is an attachment to that. And the last thing I leave everyone with is the Amenia Fire Company is bringing back the chicken dinner deal. It's going to be on Saturday, April 9th. This will be a takeout only from 3 until 6. Order ahead. Call Sean at area code 845-418-8633. And the price this time is $16. Anyone looking for tickets, give us a call here in the town clerk's office. As soon as they're printed, I'm sure Sean will give me some.
That's the Amenia Fire Company?
Amenia Fire Company.
Thank you. As opposed to a SAG, I just wanted to check.
Yes, that is.
Okay.
This is the north end of town's chicken barbecue. And that'll conclude the town clerk's report.
What I would like to do is to make a motion to advertise for additional housing board member and any other vacancies that there currently are on other boards.
Second?
Supervisor Prodi?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes.
Revillard?
Yes.
And you'll be beginning with resolution number 26 this evening.
Okay, resolution appointing town justice to the town court of the town of Amenia. Whereas due to the retirement of town justice Norman Moore, a vacancy has been created in the position of town justice. Whereas there is a necessity to fill this vacancy in the town of Amenia Justice Court to conduct official town court business, to perform other responsibilities of the department. And whereas the town board has conducted interviews of interested candidates for the position of town justice. And whereas Graham Spearman has expressed an interest in being appointed town justice until a successor can be elected at the November 8, 2022 general election. Now therefore be it resolved as follows. The recitations set forth above are incorporated in this resolution as it fully set forth and adopted herein, that Graham Spearman is hereby appointed to serve as town justice in the town of Amenia Justice Court effective 4/1/2022 at a salary of $18,181 per year, prorated for a term ending on December 31st, 2022. That the town supervisor and the town bookkeeper are hereby authorized and directed to file any and all documentation necessary to effectuate the intent of this resolution. Is there a motion?
I move to accept that.
Second?
Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes.
Remillard?
Yes.
Okay, resolution number 27. Resolution authorizing settlement of tax certiorari proceedings commenced by Juan Torres. Whereas there is now pending in Dutchess County Supreme Court tax cert proceedings commenced in 2020 and 2021 by Juan Torres regarding property located at 5209 Route 22 in the town of Amenia, tax map number 132-000-7168-00 585-340-0000, seeking a reduction and correction in the 2020 and 2021 assessments for the respective tax rolls. Whereas the town assessor and the attorney to the town recommended a settlement on these tax review proceedings. Now therefore be it resolved as follows. The recitations set forth above are incorporated in this resolution as it fully set forth and adopted herein, that the town board of the town of Amenia hereby approves the settlement of the tax review proceedings for the years 2020 and 2021 on behalf of the town of Amenia as they pertain to the parcel identified as tax map number 132-000-7168, 00585-340-0000 as follows. Year of assessment 2020, original tax assessment $791,300, revised total assessment $475,000, reduction $316,300,000. 2021 $475,000, revised total assessment $475,000, reduction 0. That the town supervisor, town assessor, and ENC Lindars of Stanger, Diamond, and Glass LLP, attorneys to the town of Amenia, are hereby authorized to take all actions necessary and appropriate to effectuate the terms of this resolution. Is there a motion?
I'll move to accept.
I'll second.
Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle?
No?
Absent. Blackman?
Yes.
Remillard?
Yes.
Okay, resolution number 28. Resolution adopting the 2022 Town of Amenia Emergency Operations Plan. Whereas pursuant to New York State Executive Law Article 2B, the Town of Amenia is authorized to prepare a comprehensive emergency management plan to effectively handle potential disaster situations. Whereas the purpose of an emergency management plan is to minimize the effects of any disaster or potential disaster and to provide for effective local responses when disasters occur and facilitate local recovery. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Amenia desires to adopt the Emergency Operations Plan in substantially the same form as Annexed Tier 2, which has been revised to reflect recent personnel changes and updated contact information and addresses. Now therefore be it resolved as follows. The recitations set forth above are incorporated in this resolution as if fully set forth and adopted herein. The Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby adopts a revised emergency operations plan in substantially the same form as Annexed Tier 2. The Town Board hereby authorizes and directs the supervisor and/or town clerk to circulate the emergency operations plan to the Dutchess County Emergency Management Office and to all departments and individuals designated within the plan. I make that motion.
I don't want to be the only one. But I'll move.
Second.
Okay, thank you.
But it doesn't matter.
I'll move.
Nobody's keeping track of
Oh,
how many
good.
times
I
you
am.
second.
I knew Dawn Marie was.
Oh, only her.
Leo, I'll second.
Oh, okay, great.
I can put all three names. I'm
So I
going to
have
give
a
that to Doyle, though.
Yes.
So, like on page 1, all of these names have been updated? Or
Yes.
Okay, so Michelle Smodny, are these supposed to be the designate? I'm the first designate, Damien is the second one, and then Michelle Smodny, is she still the third?
What page is it?
Oh,
One?
page 1.
No, that'll have to be changed.
Okay.
Did they have a meeting?
Okay, and then this will be changed.
No, within the document, on page 1, within the document.
Yeah, normally
There had to be
it's
some.
generic, right? But here, in this case,
No, because it's supposed to be posted on the front of the front of the.
Okay, we can adopt it with those changes.
so who is the third designee?
Actually, the designated,
I'll tell you right now, because it's in your reorg.
Oh, we already did that.
In your reorganizational, you
Yeah.
guys, she already set them.
You are right.
And then it was supposed to be updated within this. So
Oh, so we could just adopt it based on updating?
with the amendment,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you who it is.
I think it's you, Leo, and Brad, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Right in there?
Yeah.
So you would put,
Well, I'm
So-
sure you're better in a crisis.
So we'll just make that
I'm
change.
sure you're better in a crisis.
Jesus.
So we can still accept it with that change?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think,
As, you know,
There's a
as put,
proposed-
as the,
Reorg.
yeah, as based on the reorganization document.
yeah, so I think you just make a motion to amend according to the reorg, and then vote on the motion to amend. Then that amendment will be applied to the
But we're in the
plan.
middle of,
So
Motion.
as amended, just say as
Yeah.
amended.
Can we just say
As
conditional
amended.
upon it being
Yeah, and then,
changed?
and then conditional on,
yeah, because your motion is to amend something that's on the table, on the floor now, so you can.
yeah, but we can't do a motion. We're in the middle of voting on the resolution.
As it
Should be
stands?
as
So
amended.
what we can do is vote on the resolution as amended,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Without doing a separate motion.
yes.
Okay.
I got,
They didn't, when they went through them, they just didn't, there's just some things, they didn't change the names within, but they accepted the names of the list
Already.
already at reorg. So there's just a page that
Good.
one wouldn't know.
Okay.
Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes.
Revok?
Yes.
Thanks for bringing that up. I didn't have a chance to look at it. Okay, resolution number 28,
9.
or 9? Goodness, who's counting here? Approving proposal for professional engineering design services for the paving of Tower Hill Road, whereas the town of Amenia is considering to undertake the paving of Tower Hill Road from its intersection with New York State Route 22 to the town of Washington, town of Amenia town line, whereas the town seeks to authorize John Andrews Jr. of Rhodey, Soika, and Andrews Consulting Engineers, P.C., the town engineer, to develop the full scope of work associated with the project, including a detailed preliminary cost estimate in accordance with the annexed design proposal. Whereas this is a Type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act and therefore not subject to review under seeker. Now therefore be it resolved as follows. The recitations set forth above are incorporated in this resolution as if fully set forth and adopted herein. 2, that the town board hereby approves a proposal from John Andrews Jr. of Royde, Sook, and Andrews Consulting Engineers, P.C., to provide professional engineering design services to the town of Amenia for the paving of Tower Hill in substantially the same form as annexed hereto, that the town board hereby authorize the supervisor to execute the said proposal for professional engineering design services. Is there a motion?
Oh, I just want to know, is there an amount in that, to that proposal? It's in there? Well, I didn't see it yet, I'm sorry, but it's in there. Do you want to tell us, Dawn Marie?
I mean, I just turned the page.
Oh, I
saw
thought you saw it.
14, right? Work
Wow.
items has services outlined herein is 21,000, estimated as follows with the items as they're described within 14, and then to assist the highway super on permits is 3,500. Preparation of the preliminary project is 3,500.
Got it.
That's just me.
Thank you. Okay,
Making
I'm
me
sorry,
feel-
did you ask someone to move, or did you move?
Yes.
Okay, I'll move.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Brad. Supervisor Prody?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes.
Revelard?
Yes.
Resolution number 30, resolution approving the carryover unused vacation time. Whereas pursuant to the Town of Amenia Employee Handbook, all full-time and part-time employees paid an hourly basis, regularly scheduled to work at least 15 hours per week, are eligible for paid vacation leave. And whereas an eligible employee may carry over vacation leave from one year to the next with the approval of their department head, whereas each department head must report all approved vacation leave carryover to the secretary to the supervisor. Whereas the secretary to the supervisor has received the following approved requests for vacation leave carryover, which are annexed hereto, made a part hereof. Now therefore be it resolved that the recitations set forth above are incorporated in this resolution as it fully forth and adopted herein. The town board hereby approves the request to carry over vacation accruals from 2021 received into the Secretary of Supervisor's office as annexed hereto. Request to carry over vacation accruals from 2021 received in Secretary to Supervisor's office. Marge Arnold, 22 hours. Annette Culligan, 2 hours. Mike Singleton, 8 hours. Judy Westfall, 27 hours.
So moved?
Second?
Supervisor Prody?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
I have a question.
Oh, sure.
I'm sorry. So this is just from 1 year to the next year, it doesn't go from the next year to the next year?
No, they have to
Okay.
use it.
Okay, that was my question, thank you.
Yeah, they have to use it this year.
All right, thank you for explaining that.
So there is a
So I'll say yes.
letter from Mike Seglican saying he has just one vacation day, but we're voting on 8 being rolled over for him?
8 hours.
Oh, 8 hours, one vacation day is 8 hours. Okay, thanks, sorry. Got it.
Good, okay, so, Doyle?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes.
Revelard?
Yes.
I didn't have anything specific under other matters, but remember the email we got from regarding the Weebatuck Little League? And one of the things they asked in the email if they would be able to use the Town of Amenia baseball equipment.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they would, take an inventory, see what equipment they used, and then, return it to the town hall. And I think we have to, authorize them to be able to use it. The other thing in the email, they asked if they would be able to sell refreshments there. Now, I'm not sure what would we have to do to allow that. Does everybody have any problem with them using the existing equipment? Because the Weebatuck Little League is going to be Amenia, Wassaic, and also some Millerton kids, because they're looking at doing it from the school district.
So even though in the past it's been the Amenia Little League, now it's going to be Weebatuck, and so they're just asking to use the equipment, even though it's a broader group of kids, they're
Right.
asking to use the equipment that's always been used by the Amenia one, right?
Right.
Okay, that sounds reasonable to me.
I would like an opportunity to look at that email because it's involving more than just the town of
You
Amenia.
have it? I sent it to you.
Yeah, no, and we discussed it, and we discussed that I would be ready for that not at this meeting.
Yeah, I sent it to you because I wasn't sure what we would have to do to allow, refreshments to be sent, to be given to. But
Correct. Now,
What
this
would,
is-
what
this
would
is
we
now
have to do
properly
with
for-
the equipment? Would we have to do a motion or a resolution?
Well, this would be something that would be all comprised within the agreement with the Little League. So this, my understanding now is this is a properly formed and chartered Little League organization, which then will want to have an agreement with the town to use the fields, essentially.
Right.
And so buried in that agreement would be certain services in exchange for services that would be part and parcel to that agreement.
So we need to do something more formal?
Absolutely, absolutely. This is something that should be in a full agreement, laying out everybody's obligations of who's doing what, how they're doing it.
So we'll put it on the
liability.
agenda for the next meeting?
Yeah, I will have time by the next meeting to actually, to
But
get
just
into that.
so you know, I don't think anybody has a problem with them using our equipment. We're talking about baseball bats and bases and
Yep,
whatever we have.
yep. And I'll have to talk to them more about what else is going on and what other, because there's different municipalities. I don't know all the games they're playing. I don't know if they're using just our fields, or there's a lot of questions that are still open with regards to how this is operating. And there are other municipalities involved with it, which will complicate that a little bit. So there's some exploring I need to do
Well, the
with
town of
that.
Amenia is town of Wassaic. The only other one would be Millerton, but, okay. Yeah, whatever you have to do, but just so you know ahead of time that the town board doesn't have a problem with them actually using the equipment.
Okay.
Okay, is there any other town board comments?
Oh, I have one, but I don't want to go first.
April 23rd is the Saturday after Earth Day, and it's a date that we have historically gotten together and done a cleanup of the town. I would encourage residents to start thinking about their neighborhood and thinking about whether or not they'd like to help form a little neighborhood group. I will ask Welsh Sanitation if we can bring roadside debris and litter to their transfer station down in Wingdale, and I know we have a utility trailer and a truck available that day to pick up, to provide trash bags and to allow volunteers to pick up roadside trash in areas that they feel are most in need. We will meet in two places. You can either go to Fountain Square in the center of Amenia, where M&T Bank used to be. Right there, we'll have some bags and sign-in sheets, and you can let us know where you're going to be picking up trash, and it might be possible for us to drive around and pick up those bags if you tell us what area you're going to be working in. There'll also be another group centered down in Wassaic across from Maxim Mills, and you can pick up garbage bags there, and again, we'll be pretty much radiating out from those hamlet centers.
Where exactly in Wassaic?
Across from the Maxim Mills where Borden Park, there's a couple of picnic tables, so we put some.
So at Borden Park?
Yeah, Borden
Okay.
Park, right there on Furnace Bank Road, and, right by where the railroad tracks cross Furnace Bank Road and Main Street. So it's the rail trail start as well. Let me know if you are interested in doing other sections further afield so that we can coordinate. But the CAC is on board, Conservation Advisory Council, the Amenia Democratic Committee. I'm trying to get the Republican Committee. I'm trying to get everybody who has an area that they'd like to cover going. We're going to get Delaware and Enhancement Committee also is providing a lot of help in that, in providing the infrastructure for that day.
At what time would they be picking up the bags?
So it's from 10 to noon is the
10 to noon.
cleanup, and then we'll be cycling around because we have to get to the transfer station by 1 o'clock. So from 12 to 1, we're picking up bags. We're no longer cleaning up, but we're and my phone number, if you want to take that down, I will definitely have my cell phone and be able to drive over and collect from certain points. 845-489-7826.
Thank you for organizing that.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's part of our Earth Day.
Oh, I know, I've done it before, I just,
It's good.
yeah. Bracing. Oh, so I had an item, I wanted to ask the town engineer to give us a proposal to provide cost estimates on the water system, the parts beyond the pump house, because I realized if we're pursuing grants, we should know what all the pieces cost. And Marco, right? Marco did a sort of an outline of the whole thing, of the condition of the various pieces, but
Yep.
didn't provide any numbers, and I think that's something.
Well,
we
he
all-
was, that report was just to, was the, what the
an
infrastructure
inventory,
was.
Right. But I think that we should get numbers for things like replacing the tank. There's issues with the piping, the distribution piping, there's drilling new wells, and I think we should know what the big picture is on that. So do I need to make a motion accepting that, or? It is-
I think,
Where, with, I'm not quite sure he's even going to be able to prepare that, because we're not quite sure what's going to be entailed with the entire project. So I don't know if there's been a complete feasibility as to where.
I think we're just working off of the list that.
we'd be able to, we'd be better able to apply for grants if we knew what the proposed cost was.
Yeah, it's just estimates, but the idea is that, John Andrews prepared a report on the pump house.
Yep.
And then Marco prepared a sort of broader thing about
Yep.
other issues in the water district, and it's really just to kind of get a sense of scale for what the cost of the other pieces might be. Marco lays that out, and I think John did too at the end of his report, in terms of what the other issues that were sort of critical were.
Yeah.
So it would just be asking him to, give us some help in estimating that.
Again, I think that should be done by a formal resolution, because the town board's authorizing him to submit proposals and then conduct certain
So
services.
do you want to do that for the?
Yeah, I can do that for the next meeting.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
great.
Are there any
Brad,
other
anything?
town board comments?
No, I don't. Not at the moment.
Next meeting.
Okay, at this time, I make a motion to go into executive session with discussions relating to proposed pending or current litigations in Kent Hollow. The town clerk, Councilwoman Doyle, and Councilman Leo are excused.
Thank you.
And to confirm that the supervisor is going to take those minutes.
Yes.
Sorry. Didn't want to sneak.
I got
in.
all excited. Well, someone's got to take the minutes. Yeah, we're not done.
Oh, right.
We don't have a quorum.
We don't have a quorum.
Yeah.
Just for the purposes of conference? We did it at the last meeting.
We don't, technically, we don't have a quorum. That doesn't mean that you still can't have a conversation. It just doesn't mean it's official town business at that point. It's not, there's no quorum.
Okay.
Do you want us to stay?
Still be able to call in?
Technically, he's not here, and he wasn't noticed to be here remotely, so it's just not a town board meeting. The town board would then end its meeting at this point, and if there was going to be,
So we can't do an actual
There's no quorum.
no, there's no quorum, it's, yeah. So the meeting would be ended now.
We can excuse two of the board members.
Well, for this purpose, you would have to excuse those board members, and then and once you do that, you would lose your quorum. So since we don't have a quorum to conduct the executive session, I think if there's no other matters before this board, they should close the meeting.
Adjourn.
Yeah. Yeah, we can't
You
conduct the
sit and hang
executive
out, you
session.
sit and hang out. We'll just,
Well, what is someone, you want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'm tired of making motions. No, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
And I will second.
oh, she
And
did
there's
it.
a third.
Okay, so you're adjourning. 8:21.